simply hitting the like button or dropping a comment down below and let me know your thoughts on this. So the other day, yesterday, 2 days ago, whenever it was, we had David Wood versus Daniel Hikachu. That was a good debate. I liked the debate, to be honest with you. It was a really, really good debate, very professionally done, and it was great. So anyways, let me just weigh in on this, right? So I always say this, the Islamic dilemma is false, though the sentiment is true. What do I mean by that? I mean that, okay, let's put it like this. The Islamic claims are definitely false. They are ahistorical and simply unhistorical. It is not credible at all, okay? So let's just get that out the window. But the logic that's been utilized to prove, the Islamic dilemma, I would say that definitely is false. And personally, I see things such as faulty logic taking place, i.e., I don't know if this is a fallacy as such, a name for it, but it's like a fourth category is being placed into the equation, which makes it false. And let me explain that a bit more. So the general outline of it is that the Quran affirms the Bible, but sometimes they either say Islam or the Quran contradicts the Bible. Therefore, Islam is false. And it's like, no, technically that does not follow suit. You've just brought in another category into the equation. Quran, okay, what does it do? It contradicts the Bible, cool. So, you have your three things in place. The Bible, Quran, contradiction. So therefore, the Quran should be false rather than Islam. That's like a completely different category, full stop. Hopefully I haven't butchered it because I haven't got it all in front of me to really explain it and so forth. But yeah, it's like, no, that's not the best way of actually doing that. It's either try to prove, you're either disproving the Quran, but you're not going to disprove the Islam that way. Because Muslims, they have more than the Quran that they rely on. They rely on the hadiths and all these other things here, which can literally contradict the word of God, Quran, and it can abrogate the Quran. So it's like, it's not really, there's too much wiggle room for me, personally. Let me quickly, Daniel Hikachu. Anyways, so that was that. Cheese, what's good? Ex-Muslim Abdul Hazrat. How are you? I'm good, man. I'm enjoying life right now. Another, underneath the sun, the summer. I can't even show you guys the summer sun right now, but it's beautiful out here. So yeah. Because for me, the way I stand is that, unlike other people, I don't really see that much fault with inside of the Quran. I think that the Quran, I know the Quran was constructed by Christians, okay? And already, logically, it just doesn't make sense that the Quran actually contradicts the Bible. It doesn't make sense, or contradicts Christian teachings, which it doesn't. Unfortunately, I tell you what does contradict the Bible and Christian teachings. It's the translation of the Quran may contradict. The interpretation of the Quran definitely contradicts, because they're relying on hadith literature, they're relying on commentaries that are perverse. So therefore, when non-Muslims, Christians or whoever else may be reading the Quran, they're reading it through the lens of Muslims that have already pushed their own agenda into, and their own interpretations into the text. When the text clearly doesn't say what you believe it says. So for me, it's not the Quran contradicting the Bible. Rather, it's the Muslim interpretation that contradicts the Bible. And, most time they were like, yeah, the Quran denies the crucifixion of Jesus. And I'm like, have you read the Quran? Have you read that? Have you read it? You go back and reread it. It doesn't. And it's like, for me, it's like always amazing that nobody wants to read things with inside of its context, okay? It says they, the Jews, because they were boasting and making certain claims that they killed the Messiah, Jesus, but they killed or crucified him not. It's like, no, they didn't kill him and they didn't crucify him. Not that he wasn't killed or he wasn't crucified, just simply that they did not do it. It's negating a claim of the Jews, saying that they did not kill him or crucify him. Not that Jesus was not killed or crucified. And it's like, it saddens me when Christians are adopting a Muslim interpretation of the scripture of a text. It's like, why? Why would you even do that? Why? Why? To me, it doesn't make any sense. But I guess it makes sense because obviously it's not, again, apologetics and polemics, it's never the case of what is true. It's a case of how can I persuade you that you are wrong and I am right. And it's like, because even academia doesn't hold on to that nonsense that Muslims are pushing and Christian agenda is pushing. It doesn't. It really doesn't say that. What else did they say? Yes. Nowhere does it say that Jesus is, Allah is a father, or in any sense. It's like, no, it doesn't say that at all. It says, he hasn't, had sexual relations. He hasn't, fathered children in the sense of having sexual relationships to produce a child. And again, most people read the Quran based upon the 7th century narrative of the Islamic paradigm, not understanding that this text that they're calling a Quran is actually a Christian text that's been co-opted to form a new religion. So if you read it with inside of where it actually originated from, i.e. the 6th century, and you read it as such and understand that it's actually a Christian text, it doesn't say what the things that you believe it says. It's speaking a lot of the times. You have to understand what was going on in 6th century Syria, 6th century Arabia. What were the heresies that were going on during that time period? Who are, the associators? Who are the mushrikun? Who are these munafiq, i.e., what's the word? It's not hypocrites. It's actually to do with the word heretics. Like, who are these individuals that the Quran is having a dialogue with? Because it's an intra between Christians are having dialogues. And if you have never read heresies before, anything, it's like Christians going hard against other Christians, but literally, how can I put it? The best way to put it is straw manning one another to be like, yeah, you believe this, and then take it to the nth degree. It's like, again, I think like really good books to read, okay? Quran in context or something like that. There's some good books by Angelica Newworth to do with Quranic studies, Gabriel Said Reynolds to do with Quranic studies, Thomas Tessie, Nicholas Sinai, all of these great Islamic studies and Quranic studies authors. Like, go and read their works and see what does academia say that the Quran says versus what you believe based upon the Muslim agenda. Like, allow it. And another thing, because like when people say things, I'm like, I can tell that some people are trying to do history, but they are influenced heavily by Muslim apologetics. So even like, and the other day he was talking about the word Muhammad, it being a title, etc. And it's coming from Mahmed, which is the Hebrew, etc. I'm like, huh? Like, I know Muslims make this argument, right? And I don't know how recently that they started making this argument. It's not an ancient argument, to be honest with you. This Mahmed within inside of Songs of Solomon. And I'm like, why? Why are we even saying that's where the word, it's like two different words. It's two different languages. Like, it does not originate there, And it's like, yes, but something like St. Ambrose, he said something about, Song of Solomon's, the altogether lovely one is Jesus, i.e. it's a reference to do with the Messiah, i.e. anytime you hear the word Messiah, it's really Mahmed. I'm like, nah, fuck off with your faulty logic. That does not make any sense at all. These individuals that you're quoting are not reading, they're not reading Songs of Solomon in Hebrew. They're reading it in Greek. They're reading it in Latin. They're writing in Greek. They're writing in Latin. That's when you read the Septuagint, right? You're not going to find the word Mahmed in Songs of Solomon's 5:16. You're not going to find that. So why are we bringing Muslim arguments to, like, it doesn't make sense. Like, I could go on and on this, but it doesn't make no sense. And I have to say, and the Exarchs, they were all called Mahmed. The Exarchs were all called Mahmed. Bro, it's like, I was like, do I go ahead and research this? Yes or no? I said, hell no. This is a nonsense. This is going to be me chasing my tail. Why? Because somebody makes a claim, okay? And they repeat the claim so much. Yes, Mahmed. And the Jews, the Exarchs, the 5 Exarchs were called Mahmed. Show me one inscription. Show me one source literature that ever says anything like that. Because it's just claims, it's just words. And this is what upsets me at times, because I keep quiet. And I love this subject. I love history, and I love the subject to do with, Islamic history and one of the things there, right? And I keep quiet, but it's like, sometimes you have to call out the BS, because the more people repeat things, the more people think that it's true. And then when I start having a conversation with other people, they come to me and tell me that I'm wrong because this is the reason why. I'm like, but you do realize that it's false information? So it's like, I have to go now and debunk information just to have a good, fruitful conversation with people. It's like, man, sometimes I just wonder, is the community who's interested in these type of topics actually doing the research? And if they are doing the research, why aren't they not producing counteraction videos or posting more loudly inside of the comment section? Because I always tell everybody, please fact check me. Fact check me all day long, okay? Because I'm not in the business of spreading false information. Let me quickly see what you guys are saying. Tense TV, if you think the Islamic dilemma is false, why don't you invite God Logic on your channel? Cool. Because I am not here to argue for Muslims. I am not a Muslim apologist. So technically speaking, and I think it's David Wood that actually created the Islamic dilemma. So the Islamic dilemma, as I said, the sentiment is true, 100% true. So I will tell you that the dominant Islamic narrative, which some people call the standard Islamic narrative, is a fabrication. It's false. It's something that is unhistorical. It's been made up. Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'll give you all of that. So the sentiment of what they're saying is true, but the means of falsifying the religion is incorrect, okay? Because you can't now say, and they do the dilemma, but we have to just start with that first syllogism. The Quran affirms the Bible. Cool. So affirming the Bible, cool, positive. Quran affirms Bible. Quran, one category. Affirming, second category. Bible, cool. Like, makes perfect sense. That's the premise. That's the first part of the syllogism. Cool. The Quran contradicts the Bible. Cool. Or the Bible contradicts the Quran. Either way you can say it, right? That makes perfect sense. Therefore, the outcome should be, for example, the Quran is false. Not that Islam is false, because you just brought in a fourth category, Islam. It's like now saying Christianity is false. It's like, that didn't make no sense. Like, you have to say the Quran is false, not the Bible. Not Islam is false. Does that make sense? I just want to make, do you understand that? Do you understand that? You just brought in a fourth category that was never present. So let's try that again. Let's see. Something like all men are human. I don't know. Let's see that. Something like that. All men are human. Socrates is a man. Therefore, Socrates is a human. That makes sense because we have human, we have man, we have a third person, Socrates. But now if I say all men are human, Socrates is a man, therefore Socrates is a god. It's like, where did that fourth category come into play? Like, that was never part of anything. I'm trying to make it make sense. Does that make sense to you? Have I spoken to Isa? No, I haven't. Unfortunately. So yeah, I just think that the reasoning, the logic behind it is false when they say that. Some may switch it up and say the Quran therefore is false. I'm like, cool. But I would always say, I don't think that the Quran is false. I think it's the Muslim interpretation of the Quran that Christians have brought into is false, not the Quran. Okay? It's that simple, because you want to say that the Quran denies the crucifixion, the death and the death, burial, and crucifixion of Jesus. The Quran definitely does not say that. Okay? The tafsirs, the commentary, they say it, but what does the text actually say? You know? And then people give me another argument. Yeah, the name of God in the Bible is Yahweh. I'm like, cute. And Allah is not the name of God in the Bible, or, therefore Allah, I'm like, okay, cool. You do realize that the New Testament, and we'll start off by the separate genres, the Gospels don't use Yahweh for God in the Bible. No, it doesn't. Yeah, it's either Theos, i.e. God, or Kyrios, meaning Lord. Those are the terms. The epistles don't do it neither, i.e. the epistles of Paul don't do it. The book of Revelation doesn't do it neither, okay? So nowhere in the New Testament, Yahweh is mentioned. So therefore, is the New Testament a different God from the Old Testament? It's like the logic that people come with. It's like, I don't think you lot, I'm with you. If you're against the religion and you think it's false, cool. But don't try to get other people to leave their religion based upon deception. And I guess it's not even based upon, you may not be willfully trying to deceive people, but you're ignorantly deceiving people. Because your logic falls apart if somebody was going to turn that on you. Let's see, interpretation of the Quran change every week, Kalam. Yeah, definitely. But for me, I like the way that the academics try to do it. Okay, the academics fully understand that the Hadith literature, the Tafsir literature, the Tariq literature, all of these things come later. And because they come later, and because they're not proper in terms of, they do not, and Asbab Nuzul, they don't represent the historical context in how these certain chapters, books, or verses was written down. It doesn't, or how it came about. It doesn't really address that. It tries to create stories. So it's like, cool, if we know that, if we know that's the case, why are we using these literature in order to interpret what the Quran says? Why don't we use what we always use in academia, which is the historical critical methodology? Let's place the Quran inside of history, inside of a time frame. Let's place it, which is actually late antiquity. Let's do a diachronical reading of those particular chapters or verses. Let's look at it cross-culturally. So what was going on during whatever time period you believe the Quran, I'm telling you, this is late 6th century, right? Wherever you think it came from. Some of you are not going to think it's the 7th century and northern. I'm telling you, it's late 6th century, right? Because you can see every single heresy that the Quran is talking about is late 6th century. The stories, the Syriac stories, are all late, middle to late 6th century. All of it. So why don't we place the Quran there and start reading the Quran, not based upon Islamic interpretations, but based upon actual historical contextualization. Academia is doing it. And that's why I always love academia. But polemics and apologetic works, they don't do that. And it's like, you lot are smoking the crack pipe of Muslims. And it's like, stop it. Stop it. Do better. Do better. That's all I'm saying. Is just do better. That's all. I'm telling you, you guys are on the right track. Yeah. But the means of proving whatever you think is false, you're doing it based upon deception and it's not based upon truth. That's all. Best of diseases now, best of planners. Yeah. What's the Injil? Injil, obviously, is the New Testament. Injil actually comes from the Greek evangelion, the good news, evangelion. And I believe it actually goes from, God came into the Arabic via the Ethiopic language from the Greek, okay? So Injil is the evangelion, which is the New Testament, the good news, the gospel. No one can read the early Qurans. No, I don't believe that. I don't think so. I can read the early Qurans. Okay, it's not difficult to read at all. Yeah, it's not difficult to read. I guess some people, I don't know. To me, I've learned, what have I learned in my years? I've learned Greek, Latin, Hebrew, Arabic, hieroglyph, Middle Egyptian hieroglyph, late Egyptian hieroglyph, a little bit of Coptic. So ancient languages, like, I'm familiar with. So I don't know. Like, to me, it's like, even the argument, like, there's no Muhammad, it's Mahmed. I'm like, no, that's not how you do things. When you're talking about linguistics, that's not how you do things at all. But anyways, that's a sidebar. Let me not even go there. Let me not go there. That's just a sidebar. But I have to though, like, because I saw that and I was like, and I'm looking at slides real quickly. We're looking at slides. And this is something else, because somebody else wanted to say to me, oh, I can prove that, certain early Sahabas, such as Uthman and Umar, are Muslims. And I'm like, is it? Very interesting. You can't. It's impossible. Because why am I saying that? We have people such as Muawiyah. He is being referenced. And everything that's referencing Muawiyah seems to be Christian. Everything that he does, like praying certain places and visiting Christian sites, and his inscriptions have a cross on it, just like all the other Christian rulers. So it's like, how sure are we that these early Muslims, yeah, who never used the word Muslim in those early times, are actually Muslim? Because we have their inscriptions. But yes, look, we have John of Damascus. He calls Muhammad. Look, he uses an A. I was like, interesting. Very interesting. Nobody understands linguistics at all, making these claims. I'm like, interesting. Okay, cool. So what about this inscription that you just brought up about Muawiyah? And you literally call him Muawiyah, right? But the same A is being, like, Muawiyah is spelled with an M-A-A, so forth. So that now, is he Muawiyah instead of Muawiyah? Like, make it make sense. Make it make sense. That's a sidebar anyway. That's a sidebar. Let me not even go there. Okay, I was told that only a few hundred people can read early Arabic. I get that you are smart, Kalam, but ancient Arabic is a speciality. Only a few hundred people in the world can read it. Yeah, but you could be one of those people too. You could literally, like, all this knowledge is 100% accessible to everybody out there. All you need to do is pick up a textbook and read that textbook. Go to a university and ask questions and learn it. It's not that difficult. If I ever want to learn a language, it's not difficult. The first place we start off is the grammar or the alphabets. Let's just start with the elements, the actual elements. So the alphabet or the sound system, the phonetic system. Let's start there. Is in alif, a bay, a delta, a gamma, whatever the case is. Like, start there. Cool. Once you get a hang of that, you go into the grammar. You start learning grammar. Start learning the morphology of the language. Start learning the syntax of the language. You start learning morphology, syntax. What else is there? There's a few other steps to put in place. But yeah, you start learning the grammar of the language, and you could read the stuff. Like, it's not difficult. Just practice. Keep going back, reading it, cross-referencing it, checking it. It's not difficult at all. It's really not. Let's see. Big up, Kalam. Random question. What would you consider to be the oldest language spoken or no longer spoken? Don't know. I don't think we know any of those answers there. I think anthropologists currently say, I think the click language of the Xhosa, South Africa somewhere. But yeah, we don't know. We don't know what the oldest language is, because that oldest language would have died a long time ago. Do-do-do-do. Yeah. I love it. I can't produce enough phlegm. All of that rhyme. I love that. Arabic isn't special. There's little kids that speak it. Yeah. Okay, cool. So that's that. Just dropping some little bars on that. But can I just tell you guys? Actually, nobody's liking. Why is nobody liking the video? Like the video. Like the video. Okay, so I've done a video, my part 2 to my Abyssinian origins of Islam, and I have done that on Mel's channel, Islamic Origins. Okay, it's literally just dropped. So just before coming on here, I saw it and I'm like, oh, it's dropped. I filmed that last week. It's just dropped. So if you guys would like to, after this live stream, go on there, go watch it. Let me know your thoughts. I'm going to be watching it with you. And I'll be dropping some comments in there. I've done something very interesting, okay, which hopefully it causes controversy, okay? And again, it breaks up the normative narrative that we hear from Muslims and from Christian polemicists and apologists. Like, it breaks that up a little bit. So it's going to be very, very interesting. If you guys have time, go ahead, watch it. Had a great time filming that with Mel and producing that presentation. I'm constantly adapting your comments and questions into my presentations. So if you've got any questions or comments, just drop them down below in the comment section, and I'll definitely put them into my next presentation or answer them as well. Old Arabic and New Arabic is still a language, nothing special. Yeah. Pre-human tongue, Lughat al-Fitra, the language of purity, is what Adam, I don't know what that means. I can't remember what AS is again. But let me just say, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam spoke. You are special, Kalam. I know, and it's not a good special neither, you know. As I said before, like learning these languages, for example, learning hieroglyphs, 1,000 glyphs, 1,000 pictorials, 1,000 images that have, various sounds, either representing one phoneme, i.e. one sound, representing two phonemes, i.e. two consonant sounds, or three phonemes, three triliteral consonants, basically. Like, doing all of that, and even some of them don't even have, it's an ideogram that doesn't even have a pronunciation to it. It just means something based upon what other glyph is next to it. It's like, yeah, that's the, you could call it, for me, it's like, yes, it's special, but like, I have weird interests, very, 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 very weird interests. And I just give thanks and praise to the Most High, King Selassie, Jah, Rastafari. I'm joking. Okay, I just give thanks and praise that throughout my years, I've actually had the money and time to chase my passions and interests. Because, yeah. The amount of stuff that I uselessly read, what I mean by uselessly read, it doesn't have any practical use, application in the real world. Like all this Islamic stuff that I'm talking to you about, all this, Kemetic stuff and, history and stuff like that. Technically speaking, in my day-to-day life, there's no practical use of it, right? Versus, business stuff, like if I'm reading a business book or a business textbook, cool, I can apply that and it's gonna generate me revenue. But doing all this stuff is all to do with passion and interest, because it doesn't generate no money. I'm doing this for free, just giving back to the community for completely free. So it's like, I give thanks and praise that, the Most High has actually looked after me, kept me prosperous, and has facilitated me to have enough time to actually chase my passions and read countless books so I can actually come online and speak it with you guys. Yeah? Yeah, give thanks and praise. Okay, cool. Rika be up in the building. Oh man, I love seeing you. Okay, cool. Facts over personality. Go and then go and learn it. Okay, give thanks, you amazing Kalam. Bless. Yes. Yes. So family tree, yeah. I'm literally gonna go now and watch that video. Yeah, I'm gonna go and watch that video right now to see what it's saying and see how I can actually improve for future presentations. Okay, family, is there anything else before I sign out? Let me know. Let me know. Bow, bow, bow. Why learn the language of losers? I think it's actually beneficial, you know. It's beneficial, especially like when you go into Arab countries. It's good if you got shui, like if you got a little bit of Arabia, if you got a bit of knowledge of Arabic language, you know, it can help, especially for simple things, jumping into taxis, going to certain places, hearing people talk behind your back, you know, like the small things, you know, the small things. If there's a terrorist attack right now, I'd be like, yeah, akhi, you don't see the beard? You don't see the beard, my friend? You know, I can recite Surah Al-Fatiha to you right now. Yes. La ilaha illallah. Like, you know them ways there, like, yeah, all right, cool. You get a pass, big man. I won't blow you up, but the rest of the kuffar, I'll blow them up, okay? So he technically can save your life, you know, it can save your life. Who remembers? Okay, I'm joking, Yeah, before you lot like crucify me in the comment section. All right. Who remembers the mummy? And there was like this, I can't remember where he was, like this little Arab man. He started pulling out every single talisman when the mummy came, like, Adonai, Baruch Adonai. Out every single thing, every single language, every single prayer until it was, until the mummy was like, yes, I know that language. That's the language of the slaves, the Hebrews. So yeah, man. Yeah, learning those languages, it can save your life. Save your life. Just letting you know, it can save your life. It's on Islamic origin. Sugar. It's on Islamic origins. This is Mel from Sneakers Corner. Yeah, Mel from Sneakers Corner. Islamic origins. You'll find it on there. Jar Titans. Yo, Raf up in the building. Hey, Raf. I don't even know. Do I even have your number? Because I need to chat with you, man. Because I know you've been doing your studies and you're a person that will keep me. Yeah, we need to have some good conversations because, yeah, I know you've been doing your studies and I'm loving the stuff that you're posting up. So if you don't, email me, kalam@live.co.uk, and let's exchange WhatsApp details. So yeah, we can keep in contact because you're sick. Okay, cool. I'm in America. Yeah. Cool. Anyways, family tree. I'll catch you guys later on. Peace and love, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Young Cali, baby. Oh man. Scholar. Gang, 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 gang.